Operations Review, Common Core Standard 6 NSB2. We're going to fluently add, subtract, multiply, and divide multi-digit numbers using standard algorithms. So just a reminder, before you start, you should have the learning goal written across the top of your page. And you should also have the title, Operations Review, in addition to today's date. On your left side page, remember, you do want to make sure that you've rewritten the title, you've written the learning goal in your own words. Also, you want to write about what you already know in terms of operations. And in order to do this, think about the Common Core standard. Think about fluently adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing multi-digit numbers. Multi meaning more than one. Digits. So, for example, maybe 21, 52, 1,731, right? Numbers that have more than one digit. So what do you already know about adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing multi-digit numbers? That's what you're going to fill in right below this section. So make sure that your notebook is totally set up in this fashion before beginning. Your template should be glued into your notebook appropriately so that we have cut and folded and taped in kind of this square pattern that has these triangular tabs that are going to open. And we'll begin to write our notes on those tabs. So, this is an image of your template opened up, unfolded completely. So keep that in mind as we're working and we're taking notes. Before we start, I just want to go over with you the definition of an algorithm. Because an algorithm is what we use to solve all of these multi-digit operations. And an algorithm is really the method. It's a step-by-step method to solving a problem. For example, if you were following a recipe in order to make any kind of food, right? Let's say we're making cookies. The recipe would be the algorithm to making a successful cookie. Now that we know a little bit more about algorithms, let's start focusing on our notes. We're going to start with addition. And in order to explain addition, we're going to do an example problem. And that problem is going to be 394 plus 67. Some important things you want to know about this problem is that these numbers here that are being added together, these are called the addends. I'm sure that some of you may know the name of the solution of an addition problem. That is the sum. The sum can also be written as this summation sign. And that's just a symbol to represent the word sum. But the way that you read that symbol is to say sigma. And sigma is actually the name of my dog. So that's a fun fact. Let's work through this math problem and see what you remember on doing long addition. So the first thing you're going to do is add your ones digits together. 4 plus 7 is 11. So I bring down the 1 from my ones place and I carry the 1 from my tens place. Now I'm going to add my tens digit columns. 9 plus 6 is 15, but I have to remember to account for that 1 is 16. Bring down my 6, again, carry the 1. Lastly, adding up the hundreds columns, 1 plus 3 is 4. So my sum is 461. Again, addends are the numbers or the terms we add together, and the sum is the solution to an addition problem. So, now that we've filled in the notes on our addition process, what we're going to do is rotate our notebook and actually move on to subtraction. So if you want to spin your notebook around, I will spin my template around, and we will work on the concept of subtraction. The subtraction example that we're going to do is 647 minus 382. Now, subtraction problems have a few types of numbers. We have what's called the minuend, which is the number that we're starting with. We also have the subtractend, and then we have the solution of a subtraction problem, which is called the difference. So let's draw out this problem. 7 minus 2 is 5. 4 minus 8. 4 is smaller than 8. So what we need to do is borrow 10 digits from the 6. So instead of having a 6, I'm going to have a 5. And that 1 that I'm borrowing is actually represented as 10 in this 10's place. So I change the 4 to 14. 14 minus 8 is 6. 5 minus 3 is 2. So my answer is 265. Again, looking at the vocabulary, the minuend is the number you are subtracting from. The subtractend is the number you are subtracting. And the difference is the solution. Once again, rotate on to our section on multiplication. I'm sure you can see a pattern here in our note-taking as we're doing an example, identifying the components of the problem, and then working on our vocabulary. The multiplication example we're going to do is 743 times 56. Now, similarly to addition, the two numbers in the multiplication problem are both called the same thing, and that is a factor. The solution to a multiplication problem is called the product. So let's multiply. 6 times 3 is 18, so I bring down the 8 and carry the 1. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 1 is 25. 6 times 7 is 42, plus 2 is 44. I bring down a 0 to hold my place value. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21. And 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 37. When I add those two add-ins together, 8 plus 0 is 8, 5 plus 5 is 10, 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. 4 plus 7 is 11. 3 plus 1 is 4. So my product is 41,608. Reviewing the vocabulary, a factor is a number or a term being multiplied, while a product is the solution to a multiplication problem. So let's go ahead and rotate our template one last time. The division example that we're going to do is 4 divided into 662. Now, division's a little tricky, but we'll try to identify everything the way we should. First of all, the number you're dividing into is called the dividend. The number that's actually doing the dividing is the divisor, which makes sense. And your solution, which is going to end up right up here, is our quotient. So let's do our division. 4 goes into 6 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. So I do my subtraction, I get 2, and I bring down my 6. 4 goes into 26 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. Do my subtraction, bring down my final 2. 4 goes into 22 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. Do my subtraction. I have no remaining digits from my dividend to bring down, so my final 2 is a remainder. If we talk about the vocabulary one last time, the dividend is being divided. The divisor is doing the dividing. And the quotient is our solution. So now you can see the completed template with all of our notes for each type of operation. And if you fold that all back up, you should view your final appearance of your notes for class, and that's over here on the right-hand side of your page, right? On the left-hand side at this point, what you do want to fill in is the what I learned section. So was anything a refresher? Did you learn some new vocabulary? Please try your best to fill in that part of your left-hand side notebook. After that, you can complete the proof activity. It says choose the 2 problems you feel would be most challenging and prove you learned how to do them. Show your work. So in your notebook, you're going to choose 2 of these 4 problems to complete to show me that you learned what you were supposed to learn today. Lastly, you're going to do your reflection on your own. And you can use any of the reflection ideas listed in your journal on your left-hand side example page. So your reflection should be neat, creative, and visually appealing. This is the complete notebook page that you should bring back to class with you.